Ash had always been the type of kid who preferred the rain over the sunshine. On bright, clear days, everything felt too exposed, too harsh. But on rainy days, the world seemed to slow down, like it was giving her permission to take a breath. It was on one of those days when the rain cloud first appeared. It was just a tiny puff at first, barely noticeable. Ash was sitting on the front steps of her house, chin resting on her knees, feeling that familiar weight pressing down on her chest. She didn't cry. She wasn't sure if she even knew how to anymore. That's when she felt the first drop, cold and soft, land on the top of her head. She looked up, confused. The sky above was blue, but there it was, a small, gray cloud hovering just above her, with a gentle drizzle, a mist, falling only on her. Ash's face scrunched up into an almost confused frown. It looked as if she'd just seen a walking oxymoron. She was confused, annoyed, but also perplexed of what was happening. She swiped at the water with her hand, but the cloud stayed put. It followed her even as she stood up and walked inside. It didn't feel like the kind of rain that made you shiver or want to rush for cover. It was different, quieter, like it was listening. The cloud became her quiet companion in the days that followed, always hovering nearby whenever she felt that ache in her chest. At first, Ash found it annoying, trying to swat it away like a midge, but slowly, she started to accept it, noticing that the rain only fell when she needed to cry, but couldn't. The cloud seemed to understand her in a way that nobody else did. One evening, Ash sat alone in her room on her bedside. The cloud nestled in the corner, like it was waiting for her to speak. As she watched, the shape of the cloud began to shift. It slowly expanded, whilst its color dissipated into a thinner, more transparent hue, whilst growing. As it stretched and grew, it began to form the outline of a girl. As it did, the calm, whitish, gray cloud began to slowly glow in a way Ash hadn't perceived light before. It was beautiful. The girl's hair was a soft, snowy white, streaked with a calm, pale blue color, like the sky before a storm. She wore round glasses with a thin frame, the kind that looked like they'd fog up in the rain. And her smile, it was small, almost sad, but so kind. It was the kind of smile that said, "I understand, even if you can't say it out loud." Ash looked straight onto the girl, slightly more wide-eyed than her usual gaze, her mouth slightly open with her front two teeth barely showing against her bottom lip. An almost curious gaze, but one that was contempt. Ash wasn't afraid, and she was comfortable in that moment of matter. She would have been fine to sit there for minutes in this current state. About 10 seconds of blissful silence passed between the two before Ash finally whispered, "Rain?" Feeling slightly abnormal, silly, for talking to a cloud, even if it now looked like a person. Rain nodded, the gentle drizzle still following around her like a halo. She didn't speak, but she didn't need to. Ash could feel her presence, like a hug without arms. Ash sighed, running her fingers through her own hair. "I don't even know why I'm sad," she admitted. "It's just, everything feels so heavy." Rain's expression softened, her head very slightly bowing down as her irises surveyed slightly up to continue a shared gaze between the two. She started to walk softly towards Ash, across from the corner she had formed in, her head still slightly bowed, as to ensure that she wouldn't intimidate or scare Ash. She reached out, taking Ash's hand in her own. Her touch was cool, like the first drop of rain on a scorched summer evening. Slowly, she turned Ash's wrist over and traced a small heart with her fingertip, leaving behind the shimmering droplet that sparkled like a tiny gem. It wasn't much, but the gesture made Ash's breath hitch. It felt like a promise, a reminder that she wasn't alone. And with smooth, predictable, and comforting motion, Rain drifted herself up onto the bed, her physical being looking just as a normal girl's, but with an unexplained presence of light when she moved, as if she was a projection of warm light, whilst also simply just being as real as the presence Ash experienced. A presence like any other, but a presence that was listening. Rain crawled over to the other side of the bed, the side that was pressed against the wall, with all of the excess pillows Ash kept that weren't being used at the headboard. Rain made herself comfortable. She gestured for Ash to join her in that comfort with her body language, open and ready to accept and dissipate whatever weight Ash carried with her. Ash slightly perked her head up as she realized her invitation. She crawled over to Rain. They were right in front of each other. Rain's face and eyes were speaking the same sad smile she shared before. Ash's eyes, shyly but quickly drifted down, then back up to Rain's eyes. They shared their gaze for a few more moments before Ash's shoulders slowly, peacefully sank down, as if to respond to Rain's deep, sorry, yet warm eyes with, "Okay." Ash laid her head down on Rain's lap, the warm embrace of Rain's arms wrapped around her. They sat together like that, in the quiet of Ash's room, the rain softly tapping against the window. For the first time in a long time, the kind of long time that needed to be treated with care and thoughtfully drawn out of the heart to recall. The ache in Ash's chest started to ease. She closed her eyes, letting herself relax and drift into the comfort of Rain's warm embrace, presence, and being. As the days went by, Ash noticed the cloud getting smaller, the drizzle lighter. Rain still appeared when Ash needed her, but those moments became fewer and farther between. One morning, Ash woke up to find her room filled with sunlight. She turned her wrist over, half expecting to see the heart Rain had drawn, but there was only a little puddle that shimmered unlike other puddles. The droplets that made up this puddle held onto her wrist, ignoring what gravity thought, catching the light and splitting it into a gentle and delicate rainbow. Ash smiled softly, pressing her wrist gently to her lips, like she was sealing a secret kiss. "Thank you," she whispered, looking up at the empty space where Rain had once been. She knew that Rain would come back if she ever needed her. But for now, it was okay. The rain cloud had left, but the feeling of her gentle embrace stayed, like the memory of a rainy day when everything felt just a little bit softer.